Good evening. It is Tuesday, March 8th. Skipped yesterday. Worked, and then buddies came over. We played some D&D. That's kind of a Monday thing for us. We do that. It's fun. Now today, kind of changed some things up with work. Helping out with a training class. I moved my schedule back just shy of 3 hours. So now that I am off work, I only have like 3 hours of my evening until I need to be in bed in order to work my normal shift again tomorrow. Not a huge amount of time. So I was looking, the James Bonds are always kind of longer movies, so I was like, well, let's not do that. Let's just look at like the shelf here, and what is like the shortest option for a movie that I got on here. And it's actually, would be one of these fairy tale family classics. It's this 3 DVD set of MGM movies. The first one is Hansel and Gretel from 1987. Why? That's as old as I am. And it is less than an hour and a half. So, yeah, only taking up half my time. So I obviously I'm somewhat familiar with the story of Hansel and Gretel. The images on this box make me think, what kind of production quality is this going to have? I have no idea why I own this. I'm pretty sure that at some point, maybe when I was out in film school, my mom just sent me this along with other movies. There's a number of movies up there that were just, she picked them up. I don't know. I imagine this maybe being in a bargain bin at Walmart or something at some point. And she's all like, those are fairy tales. Adam likes fairy tales. Let's get fairy tale movies for Adam. And thank you. I do like fairy tales. But I don't have high hopes for this. But I will watch it, and I will find out. How good is Hansel and Gretel? Lies! It's been formatted to fit some other TV. And I didn't have high hopes for this movie. This top one. Hansel and Gretel. In fact, it almost seems unfair to put this movie on, to judge it on the same scale of other, major motion pictures. But that's the scale I got. And as such, I would give this 1987 production of Hansel and Gretel a 3.7 out of 10. And I think they did pretty good to earn it. Oscar winner Cloris Leachman stars as the evil, war-plagued witch Griselda in this enchanting live-action version of the beloved Brothers Grimm fairy tale about two siblings who wander the forest against their parents' orders. The audacity of them to write that! Featuring singing, dancing, and a house built entirely of cookies and candy, this delightful film is a sweet treat for the entire family. That is the exact opposite. They wander the forest on their evil mother's orders. Their evil mother orders them out there. Which got me a bit to the point a little early of, I did not expect the character of Mother to be on par of villainy of the witch Griselda. But she was. She was terrible. Like the witch doesn't show up until at least halfway through the movie. Entire beginning part of the movie, their mother is the antagonist. They are a poor family, and they do not have enough to eat. And it is sad. And she acts like it's new, because she's not used to being poor. Although, maybe it is new, because Hansel at one point, she has one potato, and she makes watered down soup for the entire family with one potato. And he, makes a joke about how watered down it is, like he doesn't know that their family is poor. He clearly does, but whatever, the screenwriters weren't thinking about that, so he made the joke. So, the father is a nice man, but he's a little timid and not willing to stand up for himself. Their mother is a wicked, wicked woman who's really upset that she's hungry. And so one day, they're blessed by a neighbor who is grateful for the kindness that their nice man father has, and comes and brings them milk. And so Mother's all like, oh, free milk, I'm going to make custard. And so she does. And she leaves it unattended on the counter. She's like, I'm going to go off and find some berries. You children manage the farm animals on yourself. And they, being children, are like children, are overwhelmed by a stubborn donkey. And the stubborn donkey eats her custard and breaks the jar of the rest of the milk. Because it's a donkey on a farm that she abandoned with 2 very small children. So her irresponsibility caused that. So she fails to find any berries because there are no berries in the area. And she returns home and she finds out what's happened. And she yells at her children. And she's real mad. And she tells them, leave the house, and if you do not find berries, do not return. Oh, I forgot. The night before, she told them, go to bed, and hopefully you won't wake up in the morning, which is basically her saying, I hope you die in the sleep, because we're so poor. So that was the night before, and then today, the next day, she's all, leave my house, and if you don't find what I couldn't find, don't return. I never want to see you again. That's their mother. That's who supposedly raised them? Also, this is later in the day of neighbor guy bringing milk, being all like, another child was lost in the woods again, never to return. They keep going missing, which, there's like rumors of witches, but even if, oh, that's nonsense, there probably are animals that will eat children that got lost in the woods. You live in the woods, you know that. So she basically tries to send them off to their death. And they go find berries. Far enough deep in the woods, and birds eat the cookie crumb trail. Not breadcrumb, cookie crumb. Because plot bit with the baker that's been cheating the father out of money. Anyways. So they get lost, and they find the gingerbread house. The giant gingerbread house where Griselda lives. And she treats them kind at first, working to fatten them up, deceptively. But then Gretel gets up in the middle of the night and hears some chanting and goes down and finds out, oh, actually, you're a witch. And so she's like, well, game's up. Let's lock your brother in a cage, and we're going to force feed him, and you have to do chores, and I'm going to threaten each of you so you care enough about each other. Because the kids are fairly good, good enough acting. Short enough clips, able to cut it together. Fine enough. So she's just somehow like at one point it's like, oh, I have magic spell that controls you, but clearly later on it's not the case. Anyways, and there's definitely problems with the sets. Lots of, what would be, like traditional ovens, but they just have like a constant fire in the back of them. Like the style of, like, I know the style of oven. It's you would heat up the bin, you would light your fire, you'd, heat the entire thing up, and then you would dust out all of the ash, because you don't want to be eating ash, and smoke. So you dust all that out, and then while it retains the heat throughout the day, you put things, but no, not in their version. Their version has big flames, because more dramatic. And then at one point there's a well, and Gretel has to go fill buckets up from the well. Fortunately, the well has water coming all the way to the top above ground level. I'm like, that's not how wells work. It's not a cistern, because the witch calls it a well, so we know it's supposed to be a well. I've seen images of these creepy, like, living gingerbread cookie people, like, I guess, like, online or something, like, in memes maybe before. This is what they're from. Because there's children trapped in the cookies. Now, per my memory of the story, eventually they get things turned around, and the children push the witch into the oven. Not in this story. In this story, Gretel gets a hold of the witch's staff. And it turns out Gretel is also a witch, and she can do magic too, and switches their spots. Because... What? What? The story kind of got away from itself. But then they lower the witch into an oven on a rope. Sets the gingerbread house looks interesting, although it's supposed to look like candy, so it was probably the easiest one to do. A lot of the other ones, I guess their home looks fine for bad. A lot of things in the town, when they go to the town, are clearly like, this is supposed to be stone, but it's like painted on. There's points when they're lost in the woods, and like, you can see how much light is through the trees. They're like, if you just go that way, you're out of the woods. The woods don't continue that way. There's sunlight coming straight in from behind it. For a number of areas with just making do with whatever found lighting was there. I like musicals. This has a lot of songs. I'm not a big fan. For someone that likes musicals, just to be so let down by like the musical aspect of it, it was just like, what? It just didn't have quite a right feel to it. In the end, the other gingerbread cookies that have children trapped in them break free as the witch is burning to death. And the kids all march off, and their father finds them marching down the road by following the trail of smoke. Now, sure, she has been burning stuff in that oven the entire time, and that trail of smoke we've seen wide shots of the house. It's smoke coming out, so it's been there. But now, he sees it now that it's the witch that's burning, causing the smoke. Never before, even though there's been smoke. Now he sees it. So he can follow and find them, and as she's walking off with the staff, Gretel still has it, and I'm like, okay, now is she gonna be the new witch? Like, is it gonna be a twist? And then she comes up and like she's next to Father. I'm like, no, there's like a gem on the top of it. It's gonna be, oh, look at this. We can take this gem and make money. And like my brain went there. I was like, that makes sense. That's cool. But instead, the staff just magically turns into money. It disappears and money falls to the ground. For reasons. And they're all like, now we don't have to be poor anymore. Which is nice. But why did that just happen? It seems like it'd be easier just for Father to be like, oh, look at this gem. We can sell this and now we don't have to be poor anymore. Same end result. Less confusion. I don't know. I mean, it was quite fantastic. Our credits feature a little image of a gingerbread man off on the side, and then when the credits finish, it disappears into blackness, like it's being eaten all the way from the bottom up to the head. Which, seeing as the movie has shown us gingerbread people are actually children, that's an incredibly horrifying way to end the film. What? Why did you do that? You've just taught us. No, those are people. That's the audacity of this box to say against their parents' orders. That is the opposite of what it was. It was evil mother saying, go into the woods and find me some berries. I couldn't find any. And if you can't, then don't come home. I don't love you anymore. Because I loved custard more than children. I think she's supposed to be a tragic character. I think you're supposed to sympathize with her, is what they were wanting, but she is so evil. And it is so clear that she does not love her own children. That it's real bad. But yeah, that. is Hansel and Gretel. And I don't got much more time till I need to be getting to bed, so I'm gonna call it a night. It's a short evening, but yeah, is what it is. Thank you for joining me and join me as my journey continues.